this discussion, we are very pleased to be able to introduce His Excellency, Mr. Luis Jose Menendez Castro, who will be speaking first in our discussion. El Salvador's new ambassador to Australia. Mr. Menendez is a career diplomat since 1982. And Ambassador Luis Menendez presented his letter of credence as Ambassador of El Salvador to Australia quite recently on February 24th, 2016. Ambassador Menendez has served his country in various posts for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, both in the context of bilateral relations and to international organizations. In San Salvador, he was Director of Asia-Pacific Affairs, Director for International Economic Organizations, Director of European Affairs, and Head of the Human Rights Unit. He was appointed as Charge d'Affaires to the United Kingdom of Belgium and to the European Community. Ambassador Menendez served as permanent representative to the Organization of American States, where he also acted as Deputy National Coordinator to the 7th Summit of the Americas in 2015. And Australia is home to over 20,000 Salvadorans, so the support to the diaspora is a top priority to this mandate. We'd like to welcome him to speak on an update of El Salvador here for UNCLOS.
Good evening. On behalf of the Embassy of El Salvador in Australia, I thank you for the opportunity to participate in this public lecture in order to provide an update in regards to my country, El Salvador. These last 2 years, June 2014, June 2016, coincide with the first 2 years of the current administration in my country. To be precise, this is the government of President Salvador Sanchez Cerén, as you know. During this time frame, our country has faced challenges as well as presents many improvements in its path toward furthering the necessary structural changes so it may become a land in which the aspiration of our people may flourish. Therefore, this forum is a valuable opportunity to ponder from afar how the process unfolding in El Salvador for the last biennium is perceived. Furthermore, it is a place to elaborate on its meaning for us Salvadorian abroad. I must start by recognizing how difficult it is to summarize everything that has taken place in our country during the last 2 years, notwithstanding the fact that it refers to an evolving narrative. Hence, the focus here is to frame ideas within a context spectrum to the participation by Mr. Gerardo Diaz, a fellow Salvadorian whose presence we recognize here today.
Thank you.
I restate, in the past 2 years, our country has faced both challenges and advancements in its path toward achieving the changes that society demands for modernizing, strengthening social cohesion, and to become more competitive. Let us be mindful that the administration of President Sanchez Cerén is guided by its 5-year development plan, 2014-2019. The plan's design and development was enriched by contributions in the field at the local, state, and federal government levels. In other words, this is a roadmap towards a participatory and representative model encompassing matters of state, not just pertaining to government. How can we distinguish a matter of state in El Salvador from a matter of government? It is the one dealing with issues affecting the rule of law, the interface between the institutions, and a socioeconomic development that is also inclusive by definition. The short, mid, and long road challenges demanding a collective response that at the same time empowers the people. The day-to-day endeavors to increase our Human Development Index and to build our national destiny. These very same foundations support a growing sense of interdependence between Salvadorians, those at home and those abroad. Certainly, it is being acted upon by the government, giving its democratic credentials to further the transformations and the links among society, state, economy, and the environment with a view to champion human rights. Hence, the embracement of gender issues and protection of minorities to include the elderly, disabled persons, children, and indigenous peoples, amongst others. The violence that spread among the Central American region, namely El Salvador, is not a recent phenomenon. It is a legacy of decades past. It is not easy to revert it in a context defined by the increasing sophistication of transnational organized crime. For so doing, El Salvador works hand in hand with the neighboring countries in order to confront these threats. So nobody has assured us beforehand that the problems will go away smoothly, particularly if external factors are at play. The good news to be aware of when browsing the media about El Salvador is that there exists an innovative approach to articulate societal answers to counter such troubles. Such approach, or more accurate method, is embodied by the style with which the government of President Serén assumed its role. Truth be said, he has distinguished himself by solidifying democratic governance via citizen participation, as well as involvement from all the different sectors. In effect, a rather inclusive vision of state affairs. So it is only fitting that the government, during the last 2 years, has fostered rounds of dialogue in areas such as employment, investment, productivity, indigenous people, labor markets, and environmental sustainability. In brief, issues pertaining to economic, social, cultural, and environmental topics. And just to mention an emblematic example, there exists open channels of communication with communities, associations, collectivities, and social organizations aimed at listening and responding to their petitions and proposals. Economic growth reached 2.5%, the highest for the last 7 years. Exports have increased, as well as the family's purchasing power. The country bets high on renewable energies. Such a way of holding office, prioritizing dialogue and the participation of civil society to consolidate democracy, has allowed the government to listen to different voices and take them into account. Needless to say, in these last 2 years, the Serén administration has made its best to design and develop public policies aligning legislation, programs, plans, rules of procedures, budgets, and human resources. As a result, institutions are in better shape, their credibility reinforced. In the search for societal support in advancing national priorities, namely public security, job creation, and education. The University Online has been created and the literacy rate has increased as 32 municipalities were declared free of analphabetism. The increasing access to public information is an input that reflects the new social dynamics and the accountability in this new chapter of our history. The framework to galvanize and mobilize the historic energy of our democratic experience is called the Executive Branch Citizen Participation Policy. We can define it as an instrument that cements the involvement and the lead role of the people and their associations in public affairs, as well as to partake in the construction of a country project. Citizen participation allows for the people to be the key actors of their own personal and community growth, empowering them to decide on their own behalf. I would like to underline that such a vision of social justice and such a method to fight poverty and conduct official business underlie the right and the responsibility for the country to be owned by all Salvadorians. It is a prerequisite to overcome the challenges of low growth, high levels of debt, small investments, and lack of infrastructure. A vision that articulates responses to better education, food security, and environmental contamination as attested by the data. Some examples. The prices of goods and services remain steady. Subsidies in electricity, public transportation, and gas focus on those families in need. Along those lines, the authorities ready the strategy for the eradication of extreme poverty. The government also supports farmers and micro, small, and medium enterprises. 46% of the national budget is allocated toward social development. In sum, it is invested in the government's main objective, to develop people's capabilities and social welfare. The hospital network comes with better equipment and increased attention. The hospital in the province of La Unión is reaching its final stages of construction. Another hospital plan is being developed in the northern region of the capital, San Salvador, and the Rosales Hospital is being modernized. Ladies and gentlemen, in the first half of 2016, the state authorities have heralded draft legislation on fiscal responsibility conducive to ameliorate the economic problems without sacrificing the social programs benefiting numerous families. Concurrently, the Council of Ministers has sanctioned the budgetary policy for 2017, a sort of compass for citizen security and social and productive development. The preceding statements seek to portray the government's willingness during the last 2 years to motivate and procure national agreements about the utmost priorities and challenges. Our head of state and government recently referred to the national policy for the protection and development of the migrants and their families, of particular relevance to our diaspora in Australia. Australia presents a country with which we are most interested in strengthening our bilateral links, provided its importance in the international system and its status as an observer state within the Central American integration system. In brief, my remarks this evening intend to provide you with a framework of reference to contextualize the news of El Salvador, whose government relies on its historical, sociological, political, and juridical legitimacy up to the expectations of our national history. Thank you.
I'd like now to introduce our second speaker, who will also be discussing an update of El Salvador. This is Gerardo Díaz Enriquez, who is a member of the Resistencia, or was a member of the Resistencia Nacional, Organización Política Militar in El Salvador, and member of the Frente Farabundo Martí para la Liberación de El Salvador, or FMLN, which he'll be speaking about today. Should also note that Mr. Díaz Enriquez also was a promoter of the national political solution to the armed conflict of El Salvador through a tour through 15 countries around the world.
Gracias a todos por estar aquí en esta sesión de información, compartiendo la información de nuestro país con el señor embajador de El Salvador aquí en Australia.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending today and for giving us the opportunity to speak about the current event in El Salvador.
2014-2016, El Salvador avanza. Con el gobierno de El Salvador, presidido por el profesor Salvador Sánchez Serén, el FMLN abre la puerta de salida a la injusticia social, económica y política en El Salvador. El Frente Farabundo Martí para la Liberación Nacional, a partir de su ingreso a la vida política partidista, ha venido experimentando una serie de avances que están permitiendo la transformación de la sociedad salvadoreña. De los tres poderes del Estado salvadoreño, que son el Ejecutivo, el Legislativo y el Judicial, el FMLN ha logrado llegar a obtener el Poder Ejecutivo con la elección de Salvador Sánchez Serén como presidente de la República. El Poder Legislativo es un poder compartido, ya que como partido no tenemos la mayoría de diputados en la Asamblea Legislativa. Y el Poder Judicial, que continúa en manos de una mayoría de magistrados defensores de los sectores más retrógrados de la sociedad salvadoreña. El FMLN ejecuta a través del Poder Ejecutivo un plan de gobierno en beneficio de la población que durante toda la vida ha sido excluida de los elementos de los más elementales derechos en salud, educación y vivienda digna. Vivimos todavía en condiciones de gran desigualdad social y económica, en donde impera la pobreza como la raíz de todos los problemas sociales, legado histórico de gobiernos de extrema derecha oligárquica. La pobreza y represión generó una guerra que vivimos durante 12 años. La guerra generó emigración hacia los continentes, mayoritariamente hacia los Estados Unidos. Y toda esta emigración que ingresó ilegal hacia los Estados Unidos, sin instrucción educativa y sin oportunidades de trabajo, aunado a la discriminación étnica, dieron nacimiento a las maras o pandillas, razón por la cual el gobierno norteamericano quiso deshacerse del problema que éstas generan y emitió leyes de expulsión de Estados Unidos, y millares de salvadoreños fueron deportados a nuestro país durante la década de los años 90, deportaciones que continúan aún en la actualidad. Con esta medida, los Estados Unidos no eliminaron las pandillas, sino que las multiplicaron en sus estados y nos generaron un problema mayor en el triángulo norte de América Latina, que es El Salvador, Guatemala y Honduras. En los últimos 5 años, del 2010 al 2014, han deportado un total de más de 157,000 ciudadanos salvadoreños. Estos son datos de la Fundación Nacional para el Desarrollo. Aunado a la pobreza, se inicia el periodo de las maras o pandillas, quienes someten a nuestra sociedad a situación de violencia y de inseguridad ciudadana, con asesinatos, extorsiones y robos. Algunos planes de gobierno no se pueden ejecutar si prevalece la violencia que generan las pandillas. De ahí que la implementación del Plan de Seguridad y Convivencia Ciudadana ha sido uno de los avances que permiten la ejecución de políticas y medidas que están reduciendo la criminalidad, previniendo el delito, activando la represión a grupos criminales y generando alternativas para la juventud. En seguridad, se está ganando el control territorial que estaba en manos de las pandillas, con lo que se ha logrado bajar el número de asesinatos. En enero de este año se contaban 24 asesinatos por día. Este número ha bajado a 11 por día en la actualidad. Aún así, todavía se necesita profundizar la solución al problema de la violencia. Las unidades élites de la policía están en persecución de los más buscados, como son los implicados en asesinatos y los culpables de atrocidades contra la población. A la par de la represión a los delincuentes, se está desarrollando programas de prevención del delito y de instrucción educativa y laboral dirigida especialmente a los jóvenes. En el campo económico, se ha logrado alcanzar un crecimiento de 2.5%, lo cual ha mejorado un poco la situación financiera que ha permitido la reinversión en programas de desarrollo social, tales como mejoramiento y construcción de hospitales y escuelas y la construcción y reparación de calles y carreteras, con lo que se ha logrado generar más de 35,000 empleos. La inversión privada y las tasas de tributación por sobre el Producto Interno Bruto son las más bajas de Centroamérica, lo que no permite mayores ingresos para impulsar o profundizar los planes y políticas del gobierno actual. Se ha logrado la regularización de precios en los productos de primera necesidad. Se ha logrado entregar subsidios a las familias pobres para ayudar al consumo de la energía eléctrica, el gas, el agua potable y el uso de transporte público de pasajeros. Se ha logrado mejorar la asistencia técnica y crediticia para la población del sector agrícola. Hablar de los avances en educación es hablar de la entrega de paquetes escolares que incluyen uniformes, zapatos y útiles escolares, y de continuar con los programas de alimentación en las escuelas. Se han alfabetizado a más de 36,000 personas. Se ha declarado libre de analfabetismo 54 municipios de un total de 262. Abrir el libro de los avances en salud pública es leer que se han invertido 79.8 millones de dólares en infraestructura y equipamiento de centros de salud. Solo en el nuevo hospital oftalmológico se han atendido a más de 27,000 personas. Estimados amigos, aquí presentes, no quiero abrumarlos con tantos detalles de los avances que nuestro país está experimentando, pero no puedo dejar de mencionar que en el rubro de vivienda se han invertido más de 158 millones de dólares para la adquisición de viviendas. Además, se han beneficiado a más de 93,000 familias en el mejoramiento de sus viviendas. Se ha invertido más de 39 millones en la pensión básica universal, bonos de salud y educación. Se han fortalecido los programas y proyectos que garanticen los derechos de la mujer. Ciudad Mujer es una realización que viene a proveer a las mujeres salvadoreñas de un centro seguro de ayuda, preparación y logística, fundamental en la política de igualdad de géneros enunciada en la plataforma de gobierno del partido del FMLN. Aparte de ser un gobierno que ejerce su poder sobre la base de combatir la corrupción, así también se preocupa de gobernar con todos los sectores de la vida nacional, y es por ello que se crean los consejos nacionales, en donde toman parte los diferentes sectores de la vida nacional y organismos internacionales, como una forma de gobernar priorizando el diálogo y la participación de los sectores de la sociedad, lo cual consolida el sistema democrático. La rendición de cuentas a la ciudadanía por parte de las instituciones de gobierno ahora es una práctica institucional. Con esperanza y optimismo avanzamos hacia un El Salvador seguro, productivo y educado. No hay duda de que la evasión y la elusión fiscal es un factor que retrasa el desarrollo. Actualmente hay una deuda de la gran empresa privada al Estado que asciende a los 1.500 millones de dólares, razón por la cual se necesita reformar la ley del sistema económico fiscal y que próximamente se someterá a la consideración de la Asamblea Legislativa. Actualmente está en proyecto la presentación de reforma al sistema de pensiones como una forma de proteger los intereses de los pensionados. El avance de declarar 54 territorios libres de analfabetismo implica un gran esfuerzo por sacar adelante nuestro país, pero será más grande la satisfacción cuando alcancemos un país en paz, con justicia social, tal como lo soñamos cuando se nos impuso la guerra. Queremos no solamente informar, sino hacer partícipes a todos ustedes para que nos acompañen en nuestro esfuerzo. ¡Viva el Frente Farabundo Martí para la Liberación Nacional! Gracias por su atención y su paciencia. Gracias.
Is it difficult to get legislation through to make these changes through your government system?
En relación a pasar las leyes a través de la Asamblea Legislativa, no teniendo la mayoría de diputados, tenemos leyes que se necesita una aprobación con una mayoría de votos dentro de la Asamblea. Y el FMLN no tiene la mayoría y muchas veces tiene que hacer una negociación con otros miembros del Parlamento, de la Asamblea Legislativa, para poder realizar algunas leyes, pero no todas, porque las que afectan al sector privado o al gran capital, esas no pasan porque los votos de la oposición no lo dan.
Okay. Currently in the National Assembly, the FMLN doesn't have an absolute majority. Therefore, there's always negotiations taking place with the other sectors of Parliament, but in matters that mostly affect the economics and that affect the economy and the economic powers, we haven't been able to reach compromises, and there are divisions.
Quisiera complementar con un ejemplo que se ha dado esta semana pasada.
I'd like to use an example that happened last week.
Hay 900 millones de dólares que están congelados porque necesitan la aprobación del Poder Judicial.
There are $900 million currently frozen because they need the approval of the judiciary.
Y esta semana anterior, el viernes pasado,
And last Friday,
lo dieron por no válido porque
It was
lo
declared-
declararon inconstitucional la forma en que se aprobó ese préstamo.
it was declared invalid and unconstitutional the way that that loan was provided.
Argumentan de que la aprobación de esos 90 millones para que sean prestados a El Salvador fueron hechos con los diputados suplentes, con los votos de diputados suplentes, los cuales tienen el mismo poder de decisión para votar una ley, a falta de los propietarios de los parlamentarios. Entonces, argumentan de que no tenía la legalidad por el hecho de que tenían los votos de los diputados suplentes.
The vote for the 90 million loan, 900 million loan was denied because it used the vote of backbenchers who didn't have the right to vote.
Estamos actualmente en una lucha porque están judicializando la política.
Okay, there is a struggle at the moment because the politics have been going through the judiciary.
Deslegitimar la elección de los diputados suplentes
To delegitimize the election of the new parliamentarians
significa ignorar la votación del pueblo salvadoreño.
therefore it's ignoring the vote of the majority of the population.
Y esto conlleva el hecho de que si se deja pasar esta situación que la Sala de lo Constitucional ha hecho,
Now if this situation continues to further develop,
mañana ellos pueden declarar inconstitucional la elección del señor presidente.
tomorrow the election of the president could be declared unconstitutional.
Están entrando en un vicio político que está retrocediendo
There is a current political vice that's taking us backwards
la historia de nuestro país,
in our country's history.
a pesar de que los magistrados de la Corte Suprema de Justicia
Even though the magistrates of the judicial court
fueron electos, incluyendo los diputados suplentes que votaron en la Asamblea Legislativa.
there is something that is of common concern, watching the news daily, affecting the Latin American country and what's considered soft coups, which we've been experiencing throughout the region, and obviously want an opinion regarding this current situation in the continent.
Cuando se dice judicialización de la política, son 4 magistrados que están en la Sala de lo Constitucional. Fueron electos por los asambleístas,
There are 4 magistrates that have been elected
por los parlamentarios de la Asamblea Legislativa.
through the parliament,
Y ellos están vetando todos los acuerdos de ley que se han aprobado
and then been vetoing the legislation that has been going through
porque están obedeciendo a una política del partido opositor que durante 20 años atrás nos llevó a una situación peor que cuando estábamos antes.
because they've been loyal to the politics of the opposition that in the last 20 years brought us to the war.
Se puede dar el caso de lo que sucedió en Brasil,
I can give an example of what happened in Brazil,
en donde a la Dilma Rousseff
where Dilma Rousseff
se le acusó y se llevó a la corte
was accused and taken to court
y fue suspendida por 6 meses en su...
and was suspended
En
for
su
6
cargo.
months, her title charge.
Entonces, el hecho de que estos 4 magistrados
Now back to the 4 magistrates.
están prácticamente dejando de un lado la votación del pueblo salvadoreño,
Practically turning a blind eye the popular will of the electorate,
declarando que todos los acuerdos que se han hecho en la Asamblea con participación de los parlamentarios suplentes no valen.
vetoing all the legislation passed with the approval of the supplementary proxies to Parliament. They've been questioned, and this is the current constitutional dilemma.
Hay una intención de querer llevar al gobierno a una inestabilidad económica
There's an intention to destabilize the economics of the government,
para que no se pueda continuar con los programas que se ha planteado para los 5 años de gobierno del FMLN.
to not continue the plans for the 5 years that the FMLN had put forward to the electorate. Talk about the literacy rate and the improvements that have been shown in the 54 electorates. Municipalities, sorry, and that was equaling to about a quarter of the population.
Son 54 municipios o municipalidades
54 municipalities
que se han declarado libres de analfabetismo
being declared free of illiteracy
por los programas que se están implementando de educar a la gente adulta que no tuvo la oportunidad de ir a la escuela,
due to the programs that have been placed on the adult population who'd missed out on formal schooling throughout formative years. Okay, this is about the homicide rate,
el fenómeno de las pandillas
the phenomenon of the gangs,
o maras,
the maras.
es un fenómeno que ha estado soportado por el partido de Arena,
It's been something that's been supported by the Arena Party.
que es el partido que está en la oposición,
It's a party in opposition.
y estas maras o pandillas han elevado durante los años anteriores el número de asesinatos.
And these gangs have elevated the murder rate.
Hasta enero de este año habían 24 asesinatos por día.
In January this year, they're up to 24 murders per day.
Se comienza a implementar un plan de seguridad
There's a security plan been implemented,
y se ha logrado bajar a 11 asesinatos por día.
and it's been reduced to 11 deaths per day.
O sea, con un asesinato que haya diariamente, es necesario continuar la lucha en contra de esa
Even if there
violencia.
was one murder, there's still the necessity to continue. And the security plan to take on the gangs, what's it about?
El plan de seguridad es un plan que está financiado con cerca de 152 millones de dólares,
It's a plan that's been financed by 152 million
de un plan global de 2.100 millones de dólares.
from a global plan of 2,100 million.
El plan de seguridad incluye represión hacia las pandillas,
It includes repression towards the gangs,
educación y prevención
prevention
de
and
la
education
violencia a través de programas de educación, de adiestramiento,
throughout education programs and training development.
y estos planes están incluso inmersos dentro de los centros penales.
And these plans are also taking form inside the jails.
Hay 3 tipos de delincuentes:
There are 3 types of criminals.
los criminales de alta peligrosidad,
There are those who are considered a high risk,
los de mediana peligrosidad
medium,
y los de más baja.
and the lowest.
Con los de mediana peligrosidad
Entonces,
se están implementando programas de adiestramiento en oficios varios.
Those in the medium rate have been implemented through training and development programs through their jobs
Para recuperar a esa gente que se integre a la vida social legal en El Salvador.
to recover people to formally join the rest of the community in terms of their employment and daily engagement.
Y ellos tienen como beneficio
And they have also the benefit
que les dan la oportunidad de ir a reparar los pupitres
They're given the
de las
opportunity
escuelas,
to do to do small jobs in schools,
en las escuelas, hospitales,
hospitals,
como parte de su recuperación y adiestramiento.
as part of their development and rehabilitation.
I wonder if we might also ask His Excellency to comment on these social programs that we've been discussing, the literacy programs and the security kind of issues that have come up with the audience questions as well.
So in that regard, yes, let me complement what's being stated by Mr. Diaz. The good news is that since we have set up a framework of reference to include the participation of communities in all the societal endeavors, as a result, the literacy rate, as pointed out, has increased. Okay. There's been, those 52 municipalities have been targeted because there were not just the closest to get to zero, but also they were close to the areas where poverty strikes the most. But even in the rest of municipalities, the percentage is being lower. So up to now, the maximum that we have in the country is around 10%. That's the literacy rate. But it changes from, and there's a correlation between poverty and the literacy rate, as well as there is to other social services. So it's the empowerment with accountability we were referring to when addressing the issue that the population is participating in all the measures taken to counter all the problems that we still have, and this social agenda in which we still have pending business. Yes, this matter of public security, of course, a real challenge, but the homicide ratio has been lowered thanks to the participation of the communities. It's been a dramatic change, indeed. Also, thanks to the work conducted jointly, even by some members of the Army with the National Civil Police, and the improvement that we've seen in community policing, for example, so as to really retain public spaces and have them at spaces where we can really share the community life. And by doing so, we reinforce this sense of community as well as the potential for prevention and rehabilitation, and the law enforcement.
Indudablemente de que la situación de El Salvador es similar a muchos de los países pobres que hay en el mundo.
Yeah, it's similar that the situation in El Salvador is very common to other poor countries around the world,
Especialmente donde han imperado las leyes nada más de los que tienen el poder económico,
where the laws to benefit the top percentile of the population have taken benefit.
y en nuestro país la implementación
And in our country, the implementation,
de los programas de gobierno
the government programs,
que se están desarrollando están creando una nueva forma de que la población se pueda integrar mejor a la vida social de trabajo.
the new programs have given birth to different ways of people to be engaging with their community.
Probablemente no tengan los niveles
They probably don't have the
de
levels,
violencia que tiene nuestro país en las Filipinas.
yeah, that in the Philippines that are the violence rates that El Salvador has compared to the Philippines.
Las maras o pandillas
The gangs
comenzaron a tener control de los territorios donde ellos vivían.
they were getting power through dominating territories.
A las familias les cobraban un impuesto
The families were extorted, local residents,
a cambio de darles seguridad.
in exchange for security.
La inseguridad que ellos mismos generaban.
The destabilization that they themselves created.
El que no daba su aporte,
Whoever didn't pay,
cualquier persona, ya sea del sector informal,
that could be anyone from the common population,
tenía que dar un aporte.
yeah, have to provide money.
Y las maras controlaban los territorios.
And the gangs dominated the territories.
De 54 territorios que se han considerado focalizados para combatir, que son los que tienen más violencia,
From the 54 territories that have been considered the most violent, where most concentration has been put in,
hay 10 en donde ha sido más fuerte.
there are 10 where it's been the worst.
Entonces, con el plan de seguridad,
So with the security plan,
con medidas extraordinarias que el Poder Ejecutivo,
through extraordinary measures that the executive had placed forward,
es que se está controlando los territorios
the territories are being controlled.
y estas pandillas están huyendo para los otros países vecinos,
And the gangs have been fleeing to neighboring countries.
Honduras, Guatemala. Honduras y Guatemala. Luego, Nicaragua está exenta de pandillas,
Now, Nicaragua has been exempt from the gang problem
porque el gobierno sandinista de Nicaragua
because of the Sandinista government
tiene organizados a los jóvenes,
has the young people organized,
que le llaman los cachorros de Sandino.
which are called the Sandinos Cubs. Yeah, Cubs or Pups. Or, yeah.
Entonces, el poder del pueblo
The popular power,
es lo que se está haciendo para rescatar a los jóvenes
it's been developed to rescue our young people
de meterse a las pandillas
from getting involved in gang activity
o irse ilegales a los Estados Unidos.
or to flee illegally to the US.
Entonces, los programas de educación, de training
The education programs
que
and
se
the
está
training
ejecutando, esos son los que están dándonos ahorita un nuevo país.
have been the programs that have been delivering a new country.
Pero nos quieren regresar
But they want to take us backwards
a los inicios de la guerra,
to when the start of the Civil War.
porque la Sala de lo Constitucional, que es el Poder Judicial,
Because of the judiciary,
que la oligarquía salvadoreña
that the Salvadorian oligarchy
le llama los Cuatro Magníficos,
called the Four Magnificent,
pero nosotros los vemos como los 4 del Apocalipsis,
But we see them as the four from the Apocalypse,
porque se están empoderando y querer tener el control del país a través de la legislación.
they're empowering themselves and controlling the country through their wing.
Just to add that when it comes to this issue of public security, we all know that they are very complex. They also encompasses so many aspects when it comes. But as Mr. Diaz has stated, it's just not a problem of poverty. It has to do with social cohesion, with the migratory trends that we have witnessed in Central America. It's a matter, of course, of education and identifying ourselves, getting everybody on board toward building a country project. Of course, this issue of public security, we all know that it has external ramifications as well as sub-regional implications that only are reinforced by the interplay between countries. It's a challenge, but indeed there are advancements, and there is hope, because the answers that are being concentrated are sustainable. They involve institutions as well as the conviction that having in place the necessary legal framework, social policies, instilling the respect of law, and the fact that we are to be all equals before the law is how we equalize the playing field. So the government has this conviction that it's something that in order to be carried about needs the involvement of different sectors. And there's always this awareness that human rights is one of the pivotal factors for all the measures that are to be taken. So, we are witness to this unfolding of new measures of advancement, of the allocation of resources. So, and it will go hand in hand with the improvement of the situation. Of course, there's no denying that we still have problems, but the legitimacy of the government gives us not just the hope, because we see that such a hope is translated into actions that galvanize us and mobilize us. That's the call to action for all Salvadorians and those friends of our country.
I think that we're out of time for questions and answers, but please join me in thanking our guest speakers.